Hi there. In this tutorial, we'll look at what actually linked list is and what are some of the common operations we can do for linked list in C#. So similar to array, actually linked list is a linear data structure where elements are ordered one after another, and instead of storing elements at a contiguous locations, they're actually linked by the pointers. And so the idea of index doesn't exist in linked list, actually, to be honest. So each element in the linked list is called node, and you can see here, this is, for example, I have the element here 7, 3, 12, and let's say if we were to put them in a linked list, then the element with 7 would be a head node because this is a starting node. An element with 12, whichever node that is, would be a tail node. And then the very last thing that the linked list does is it actually points to a null that describes the end of the list, and that's how we know that the node with the 12 is a tail node. Size of the linked list, another thing that we need to consider, is it can vary over time because data is not stored contiguously, right? Let's say for the array, as soon as it is created, we have to define the size, and we cannot change the size of the array. But since the elements are linked by the pointers, we don't need to know the size of a linked list in advance like that of array. So another thing that maybe I forgot to mention is, if you see within a node, there's an element and also there's an address for the next node. So it doesn't store the actual element, but it actually stores the address of the next node. So that's how the linked list is, the lists are connected, I guess, linked list in that sense. Also another thing is, let's say we want to delete the data, then the way we do in linked list is whatever data you want to delete after, let's say we want to delete 12, then what we can do is after the 3, we can actually make we can directly list it to null, so that way we don't, the 12 actually gets deleted. And there is a special work that goes behind the scene which is called garbage collection, and that actually helps us to clear this part of the linked list after the program has run. So without further ado, let's take a look at how to do linked list operations in C#. Now we want to create the linked list in C#. C# actually has already a built-in linked list which uses a namespace system.collection.generic. So make sure you have that in the system. Now to create the linked list, what we will do is we'll use the linked list data type. So linked list, and then I want to make a linked list of string type, and then I'll just call my list equals new linked list string, and then okay, this is the way I can actually define it. Okay, so now there are different ways we can actually add the data in a linked list, and you can actually, let me show you the options. So you can add before, after, you can add last. So I'm going to start with add last. So we add from the last. Okay, so let's say Ukraine. Hopefully my Ukraine spelling is not wrong. My list add, and then I do from the last. So Kenya, let's do India, and then my list, and I keep doing Nepal. Okay, so this is the way we can actually create a linked list. Now let's say we want to check to see if the certain data is in the list or not. So we can actually use a contains method. So let's say console write, and then what I can do is, hey, check to see if my linked list actually contains the data called India. Okay, Now we can also count the items in the list using the count method. So for that I can do console on a right line, and actually sorry, I need to put a right line in here, and then I can do mylist.count. So this would give me a count. What else I can do? I can also remove the item from the first item from the list. So I could just do mylist.remove first. Okay. So let's say we removed it, and we actually want to print out what are the contents of the list, right? So for that I can use for each, and then I can do string, and let's say this is item in my list, and what I can do is console.write, and then I'm gonna do item plus, and then I can just make that arrow or something like that, so that we can see a list, so linked list I mean, and then I'm gonna add a space. So okay, so we have some data, and we are checking to see if there is some data, and we counted it, we tried to remove it, and we tried to print it at the end. So let's see if we were to run this, and there you have it. We have Ukraine, Kenya, India, Nepal, and first item is checking to see if there is an item called India, which is true, and then we counted it. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have 4 items. And then we actually removed the first item, which is we removed Ukraine, because that was the first item that we added. And then you can see that we actually did for each and then printed. So even though in the diagram we had this idea of the data and then the pointer, we did not have that in this linked list, and the reason is the C# actually abstracted it for us. So if I were to click on this command, click on it, and I were to go down somewhere here, you would actually be able to see there is an abstracted way in which there is node, and even if I go further, there is linked list, and then there's a linked list node. So basically with the C#, it's actually making a lot more easier for us to play with the linked list. Hopefully this made sense to you, and I'll be making another few more contents about the linked list, and keep watching. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, share, and help that YouTube algorithm. I'll see you in the next one.